How's it going, everybody? C-RadTV back here in our video. So, of course, it's time for the final Detroit Lions NFL Draft Preview for 2022. In the last draft preview, we wrapped up the linebacking class for the 2022 NFL Draft by taking a look at the top linebacking prospects in rounds 4 through 7 of the draft. And in this one, on Draft Day's Eve, we will wrap up the draft previews for 2022 by wrapping up the defensive backs and safeties class for 2022 and take a look at the top defensive back and safety prospects for rounds 4 through 7 of the 2022 NFL Draft. So yeah, this one's pretty deep though. I mean, both classes are pretty deep. I mean, for the Lions, some safety's more of a need than defensive back, but it doesn't hurt to add another one or two. So anyway, we'll take a look at it, wrap it up the class here. I'll give some quick draft thoughts right at the end of the video. But yeah, anyway, let's go ahead. Let's jump right into it. Let's go. So starting off with defensive backs, the first one we're going to go over here. Hailing out of USC, standing 6 feet tall, weighing 193 pounds, we got Chris Steele. So for Chris's strengths, he gets low in his back pedal, moves with nice fluidity and pacing that allows him to keep his assignment in front of him. He's tasked with moving all around the secondary, gets works on the outside in the slot, and even lining up at safety. So that versatility, it should help him find a role early on a roster while he continues to develop his game, but will hopefully become a bigger role in the long run. In terms of his weaknesses, though, he does take some plays off and doesn't go full effort, so he's got to learn to stay full effort 100% of the time. Most plays where the effort seemed low was in run defense, so he's got to learn to show more effort against the run, as he wasn't allowing his assignment to burn him downfield. But there also needs to be full energy on each snap. He needs to further develop long speed, as there were times he allowed his assignment to get past him and result in an opportunity for the opposing offense. In terms of his NFL comparison, he's been compared to Sean Murphy-Bunting of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, so has a lot of upside for sure, but he's got to start proving that he gives them more of a shit, because deciding when to go full effort and when not to, you're going to get fucking murdered for that in the pros. So the next player we're going to go over here, hailing out of North Carolina, standing 6 feet tall, weighing 205 pounds, we got Kyler McMichael. So for Kyler's strength, he has an impressive physical frame, thick enough to fit into an NFL room immediately. Has also a frame that could allow for positional versatility. He's a bouncy athlete, able to get up in the air, which should make him enticing to match up with bigger receivers in the NFL. He's a physical corner, has a nice ability to jam at the line of scrimmage, allows him the advantage of offsetting his matchups. In terms of his weaknesses, though, with press corners, though, he misfires at the line, which can be a bit of an issue, so he's got to get a little better at that. He can still get beat deep a bit, as he doesn't have the longest strides in the world, and it cost him a couple times during the season. And also, North Carolina also used a very heavy rotation at corner the last year. It isn't a huge knock on him, but it could lead to some questions on his ability to handle a full game role with large snap counts in the NFL. In terms of its NFL comparison, he's been compared to Isaiah Oliver of the Atlanta Falcons, so a lot of upside for sure, but you know, a couple things don't improve on, but still, definitely someone to keep an eye on for versatility and for depth and being a rotational piece for sure. So the next player we're going to go over here, hailing out of Tennessee, standing 6 feet tall, weighing 193 pounds, we got Alonzo Taylor. So for Alonzo's strengths, his open field tackling is one of his more impressive traits, especially with his ability to get after it in the run game. His physicality can be seen throughout his game. His best work comes in press coverage opportunities where he has a chance to fight and offset his assignment early. In terms of his weaknesses, though, he can get lost fairly easily when he tries to track his assignment. Too often, his hips look tight, gives up way too much space in zone coverage. He can lack discipline to stay in his assigned area, and he can get baited away from the space and will allow for openings deep in his space. In terms of his NFL comparison, he's been compared to now retired corner Carlos Rogers. So, has a lot of upside for sure, a lot of physicality to like for sure, but has a lot of issues in zone coverage and a lot of that. So, definitely man coverage is his better trait, is his better coverage scheme and press coverage. But yeah, definitely someone to keep an eye on for man coverage for sure. So the next player we're going to go over here, hailing out of East Carolina, standing 5'9", weighing 165 pounds, we got Jaquan McMillan. So for Jaquan's strengths, he's aggressive to the catch, works his hands inside the catch pocket extremely well to break up passes. He will need time, though, to adapt to the new role, but his skill set and movement ability, it projects well for a seamless transition for him in the pros. He's an aggressive tackler, will weigh big hits on the ball carrier, promising for slot capabilities, so definitely brings value as to be a slot corner. Also, plenty of intelligence evident on his tape as he's a vocal leader and consistently showcases great awareness. So, he's a vocal leader of men, so that's going to be a trait that Dan Campbell's going to like for sure, since, the Lions like to have leader of men in the locker room. In terms of his weaknesses, though, he'll be limited to only slot work at the NFL level. He's greedy for the football, which can create some highlight plays. However, that will leave him prone to allow some big plays if he misses. His size issues come most into the play on the deep ball. His long speed and ability to high point the ball creates issues in the downfield passing game. In terms of his NFL comparison, he's been compared to free agent corner nickel Robbie Coleman. So has a lot of upside for sure. He's a leader of men, but he's going to be limited for slot corner. But still, definitely someone to keep an eye on for slot corner rotation for sure. So the next player we're going to go over here, hailing out of LSU, standing 6'3", weighing 178 pounds, we got Cordell Float. So for Cordell's strengths, he's played inside corner, outside corner on receivers, and on tight ends. So that experience alone and that versatility, it will help him. And it also does a really good job keeping his shoulder square to the QB while he sticks to his matchups. In zone coverage, his length's evident. Takes away the flats while having the play IQ to take away the corner route and surrounding areas. In terms of his weaknesses, though, he needs to become a stronger tackler. At times he gets shaken off, especially in the run game. Coverage, he could use some work in terms of handling physicality, as big receivers will find ways to keep him out of their frame. And it will allow big catches, and it's especially harmful downfield. He will need to add weight, which could make him a redshirt, which could make his rookie season a redshirt season, but must keep speed with the added weight or else there is an issue on athleticism. In terms of his NFL comparison, he's been compared to Rashard Robinson of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, so has a lot of things to like for sure, especially in zone coverage, but he's going to have to add some weight, and he might be forced to sit a year, but if you're willing to wait a year on him, definitely could be someone to keep an eye on for rotation on zone coverage snaps. So the next player we're going to go over here, hailing out of Arizona State, standing 5'9", weighing 170 pounds, we got Jack Jones. So for Jack's strengths, he's an easy mover with light feet, loose hips, greasy knees, can change directions in a flash. He has the straight line speed that can handle vertical threats, and he shows excellent balance out of his breaks. He runs the routes for receivers at times, experience plays on offense, shows his understanding of what receivers are trying to do, has good route recognition, can take advantage of his athleticism. In terms of his weaknesses, though, he has a slim frame with relative two pecs per limbs, raising concerns about his ability to match up with the monsters at receiver in today's NFL. He plays bigger than his size suggests, but he simply lacks that ideal knockdown power, an issue made worse because he often tackles high, so he's got to learn to get low and tackle low and not go high. Occasionally he gets taken for a ride. Too often left-handing onto the ball carrier, waits for the cavalry to finish the job, so he's got to get stronger there. In terms of his NFL comparison, he's been compared to Janoris Jenkins of the Tennessee Titans, so a lot of upside for sure, has great athleticism, but very slim. He's going to have to learn how to tackle better. But yeah, maybe someone to take a risk with for depth and rotation for sure. So the next player we're going to go over here, hailing out of Missouri, standing 6'2", weighing 198 pounds, we got Caleb Evans. So for Caleb's strengths, has incredible length on the outside. His combination of size and speed, it should entice a lot of front offices to lobby for him. His arms measure over 32 inches long, offers quality length to disrupt passes, can make up more ground. He uses length to advantage, and he's a consistent tackler. He keeps ball carriers inside his frame to wrap up and bring the play to a halt. In terms of weaknesses, though, he's a bit tight in man coverage, can get held up on breaks that allow for his assignment to break off and create separation. While he has the size to go against bigger defenders, he plays too high when he deals with smaller assignments, and his press punch can go a bit too high to cause any damage. In terms of his NFL comparison, he's been compared to Kello Witherspoon of the Pittsburgh Steelers, so a lot of things to like for sure, but a lot of things, though, he's got to clean up in man coverage. Maybe someone to keep an eye on for depth and rotation. So the next player we're going to go over here, hailing out of Houston, standing 5'8", weighing 195 pounds, we got Marcus Jones. So for Marcus, he's your prototype top playmaker corner, so he's very good at making plays. In terms of his strengths, he packs a lot of playmaking ability into his diminutive frame. He's short, but he isn't small, has a compact build, shows plenty of time dedicated to the weight room with good overall musculature, including thick legs. He's both quick and fast. He shows impressive change of direction and acceleration that translates in coverage as well as in the return game, so he offers some versatility for special teams too. In terms of his weaknesses, though, he may be viewed as almost strictly a returner in the NFL. He comes with obvious size limitations, making a move more inside, strictly to nickel and dime formations almost required. So he might be just limited to nickel duties and special team duties in like punt and kick returns. He has some experience at receiver with 15 career catches, but he will need time to acclimate to this position if it is what his NFL team that he gets drafted to prefers. So he could go receiver. In terms of his NFL comparison, he's been compared to Meek Robinson of the Las Vegas Raiders. So a lot of upside, can make plays for sure, but could be very limited to just nickel corner or even punt or kick returner. But maybe someone to keep an eye on for like special teams and depth or being a rotational piece for sure. So the next player we're going to go over here, hailing out of Fayetteville State, standing 6'3", weighing 193 pounds, we got Joshua Williams. So for Joshua's strength, he's long and athletic with great build-up speed relative to his size. He's a natural run defender, has the frame to shock runners when he makes contact. He's able to use his length effectively in man coverage, dictates the terms of engagement with his size. He's an intense player when he gets to come downhill and gets involved with blockers or impact on the catch point. In terms of his weaknesses, though, his major jump in a level of competition will take some time to overcome. He'll need to get stronger to handle NFL ball carriers and dominate press like he did in college. His instincts are acceptable, but not a strong point of his game. In terms of his NFL comparison, he's been compared to a Kello Witherspoon of the Pittsburgh Steelers. So has a lot of things to like for sure. Has a lot of great athlete, able to be strong and make those kind of things. But it's going to have to get a little stronger and a little bit better in a lot of things. But still, definitely someone to keep an eye on for depth and rotation for sure. So the next player we're going to go over here, hailing out of Texas, standing 5'11", weighing 191 pounds, we got Josh Thompson. So in terms of his strengths, has impressive speed to keep up with any assignment. It can make up ground in a hurry. Has impressive break speed, protects well for his chances to make plays on the ball at the next level. He's aggressive getting off of blocks, does a solid job positioning himself as a tackler. Those two traits alone should provide some special team opportunities for him in the NFL, so he could have some special teams there. In terms of his weaknesses, though, he's still very raw. A lot of athleticism in him, but his overall technique where he needs work, so he's got to learn to get better at his technique and all that. Too many times he would open his hips up too early and gives up underneath space. When he worked against Eric Azumkama, who's a wide receiver prospect for Texas Tech, I might have went over him in a different video. He often couldn't keep up with him at his level of route running. So yeah, that could be some things to look at. In terms of his NFL comparison, he's been compared to Kendall Sheffield of the Atlanta Falcons. So Josh has a lot of things to like for sure, but a lot of things that he needs to get better at. For the early part of his career, he definitely could be valuable for special teams. And the final corner we're going to go over in this video before we move on to the safeties, we have hailing out of Michigan, standing 6'1", weighing 192 pounds, we have Vincent Gray. So for Vincent's strengths, he has an NFL-ready frame, plenty of experience, gained reps against numerous talented wideouts in college. And while he didn't always shut them down, he was consistent, doing a solid job in those matchups and trying to get them out of play. He worked inside and outside corner. He shows the versatility to add to his appeal. He has nice mirroring skills and the physicality that should help him stick as an outside corner at the next level. In terms of his weaknesses, though, he has a lot of concerns based on his athleticism. He isn't the fastest guy in the field, and while his size and technique help make up for it, much harder to get by with that at the NFL level. He can also be a bit lost on plays, gets baited downfield without keeping an eye in the backfield, which allows a major gain on the outside where he was located before the snap. In terms of his NFL comparison, he's been compared to Keenan Lewis, a retired corner, so a lot of things to like for sure. NFL-ready style body, A lot of things you like for sure. Great technique, a technician. You know, a lot of things, though, he's got to get better at, though. But, yeah, definitely with his technique, he definitely can be an interesting rotational piece and someone to keep an eye on. So, now, moving on to safeties. The first one we're going to go over here, hailing out of Texas A&M, standing 6 feet tall, weighing 211 pounds, we got Leon ONeal Jr. So, for Leon's strengths, he offers a tremendous frame, so there shouldn't be a single team worried about his size to play the safety position. At the spot, he has impressive downhill ability. He closes quickly on the ball, can bring some impressive force when doing so. He's a high-effort player, and on Texas A&M AG's defense, had experience in both safety spots and the slot corner, which handling various duties over the years, so has that versatility for sure. Also has special teams experience that comes with high praise from the Texas A&M coaching staff, so a lot of versatility to offer for sure. In terms of his weaknesses, though, he still has plenty to clean up, and one of the main areas of focus has to be his tackling ability in the open field. Comes downhill well, but too many times he gets shaken in space, and in a safety spot, that can't happen. And he's also isn't the rangiest of safeties, which may limit him at the next level. Overall fluidity and man coverage can be inconsistent, too, so he's got to get a little bit more consistent in man coverage. But he's a player with a frame and skills that could still match up against tight ends when needed. In terms of his NFL comparison, he's been compared to now retired safety Kenny Vaccaro. So, has a lot of things to like for sure. Has a lot of versatility, but a lot of things, though, he's got to get better at to clean up. But yeah, definitely could be someone with special teams and rotational snaps for sure. So the next player we're going to go over here, hailing out of Iowa, standing 6'1", weighing 205 pounds, we got Dane Belton. So for Dane's strengths, he looks the part of an NFL safety, has a broad shoulder, V-shaped frame, fine musculature definition. He's instinctive with diagnostic skills to see what's coming pre-snap. Plays with no hesitation, trusts his eyes in attacking. He shoots the gap with the best of them. He shows an extra burst to close on the ball carrier when he runs downhill. He's light on his feet, possesses the balance and loose hips to change direction quickly. He adjusts on the fly, shows enough speed to carry backs and tight ends downfield. He's always asked to cover slot receivers often, shows the agility and acceleration to handle these duties at the next level well. Has good timing and hand-eye coordination with the ball in the air. He snakes his hand inside those of his opponents to break up the pass or steal it. He's a reliable open field tackler, breaks down well, develops strong stops, wraps his arms for efficient takedowns. In terms of his weaknesses, though, he's at his best facing the QB with limited coverage responsibilities, especially deep. He may lack the range for sideline duties as a traditional deep half safety. He makes pre-draft workouts important. He's an aggressive blitzer, shows good time and acceleration downhill, needs to get stronger and develop more of a plan as a rusher, too. Often he gets balled up or even knocked down at times at the point of attack. He lacks the bulk to handle a transition to a more traditional linebacker role. So for his NFL comparison, he's been compared to Daniel Sorensen of the Kansas City Chiefs. So a lot of upside, has a lot of things to like for sure, but a few things that might limit him at the pros, but maybe someone to keep an eye on for depth and being a rotational piece. So the next player we're going to go over here, hailing out of Illinois, standing 6 feet tall, weighing 200 pounds, we got KirbyJoseph. So for Kirby's strengths, he works sideline to sideway well in the run game. He's capable of covering ground quickly with his aggression to put some pops on his tackles and coverage. He demonstrates good instincts, which helped him notch 5 picks last season in the college. Has plenty of experience working single high for the O&E, which shows a good level of trust to make plays from the coaching staff. The rest of the defense played rather close to the line comparatively, so the ground Joseph had to cover was no easy task. And he's been listed as a sleeper pick in this draft because his 5 interceptions led the Big Ten last season, and talent evaluators are just catching up to his skill set. So what the scouts have been seeing so far might be only just scratching the surface of what he has to offer, and he could be offering a lot more than the tape may suggest, and whatever all the scouts and everybody's been saying. So there might be more than that meets the eye. But in terms of his weaknesses, though, as well as Joseph can work laterally, his pure speed's a major issue for the NFL level. He'll likely hurt his chances of working and succeeding in single high looks, like he was able to do well in college. His tackling still needs some improvement as well. Hey, always room for improvement. As too often he comes in high or off balance, so he's got to get more balance and he's got to stay low. And while he may have gone away with it at times in college, he sure as hell will not get away with it in the NFL. In terms of his NFL comparison, he's been compared to Lucas Dennis of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, so has a lot of upside, a lot of things to like for sure, but he's got a lot of things he's got to improve at and get better at. But yeah, still, definitely someone to keep an eye on as a rotational piece for sure. All right, so the next player we're going to go over here, hailing out of Miami, standing 6'2", weighing 206 pounds, we got Bubba Bolden. So for Bubba's strengths, he offers tremendous length in his arms and legs, allows him extra opportunity to cover ground and to get a hand on the ball. He's aggressive when he crashes downfield, projects well as a strong safety, can rotate between playing in a split zone field and working in the box. He has absolute power in his tackles, enables him to create the kind of big plays that can swing momentum in the game. In terms of his weaknesses, though, his processing is his main concern. Too often he finds himself out of position. And while his length will help make up for it, getting by with it at the NFL level is going to be very less likely to happen. While he is a powerful tackler, there are too many times he's inaccurate with his fires and it causes him to whiff, so he's got to get more accurate with his tackles and hits. He needs to play a bit more discipline in his overall game where he could run the risk of being kept off the field as a big play liability. His durability is also a concern as he had his season shortened twice in 3 seasons with the Hurricanes due to some injuries. He's also been listed as a player that could disappoint in the NFL level because while he has proven to be a difference maker with a size and tendency that scouts will appreciate, though, he's just had issues staying healthy as he's only played in 23 of Miami's past 36 games following his transfer from USC. In terms of his NFL comparison, he's been compared to Jaquan Taylor for the San Francisco 49ers. So, not him, Thomas DeCloud, sorry. He's been compared to now retired safety Thomas DeCloud. So, yeah, has a lot of upside, a lot of things to like for sure, but a lot of things he's going to have to stay healthy and he's going to have to get a lot better here. Just a lot of things that go against him. I say pass on him, just pass. Too many issues, too many red flags. So the next player we're going to go over here, hailing out of Michigan, standing 6'1", weighing 221 pounds, we got Brad Hawkins. So for Brad's strengths, has rare size for the position, his mass is well distributed over a musculature frame, long thick limbs, passionate physical defender, something somewhat uncommon for a former receiver. Has long arms, strong hands, the requisite attitude to take on and discard blockers on his way to the ball. He isn't just gritty. He's also savvy. He recognizes his tendencies and often puts himself and teammates in positions to make plays. He's a trustworthy open field tackler, surprisingly agile for a bigger defensive back. While he's a bit high in his back pedal, he has good core flexibility and accelerates steadily once he gets going. Has high character grades. His coaching staff, including Jim Harbaugh, raved about Hawkins throughout his college career, and he also served as an alternate captain for Michigan last season, en route to Michigan's Big Ten championship. So has that leadership to be a leader of men. In terms of his weaknesses, though, he's a good athlete for his size, but like a lot of big defensive backs, he struggles a bit out of his transitions. Runs pretty well in a straight line, but needs a couple of steps to keep his balance when he redirects. First few steps are slow to generate much distance, as if he were running through sand. He creates space for receivers and accurate cube quarterbacks to operate. His lack of ideal closing speed's principal reason why he recorded only 0 interceptions in 30 career starts with Michigan at safety. In terms of his NFL comparison, he's been compared to Jaquan McMillan of the San Francisco 49ers. So, a lot of upside, a lot of things to like for sure. And a lot of things you like to see in being a leader of men, but a lot of things, though, that he needs to clean up and get better at. But yeah, this is definitely someone to keep an eye on for like a rotational piece and for the locker room culture for sure. So the next player we're going to go over here, hailing out of Miami, Ohio, standing 6'4", weighing 221 pounds, we got Sterling Weatherford. So for Sterling's strengths, he's a ball of clay for the NFL, as many front offices will have different plans for him if he gets drafted. The most likely scenario for him, though, is that he drops down to linebacker. has the experience of playing safety, will present impressive coverage knowledge and instincts in zone responsibilities, and offers pure athleticism on a long frame out of the linebacker role. He showed very good quality production in his role with the Red Hawks in Miami, including good effort and energy at practice. The versatility, though, is the main intrigue with his game. His primary role is safety, but he often used closer to the line and even on the edge in goal line situations, indicating his talent level and his coach's trust level is very high. In terms of his weaknesses, though, while a likely position change can be enticing, it will bring a lot of challenges, though, as well. As safety, though, he still has much work to do in terms of becoming an efficient tackler and moving closer to the line. So working in more traffic doesn't bode well for his current skill set, but it could if you can develop him more and he can improve on it. Too often he allows defenders outside of his frame, and it causes him to miss out on making the tackle. Man coverage, he bites too easily on fakes, leaving his assignment too open, so he's got to learn not to do that. It's not clear if he has the physicality to match up against elite tight ends in contested scenarios. In terms of his NFL comparison, he's been compared to Mark McLaren of the New York Giants, so has a lot of things to like for sure. A lot of versatility for sure, but a lot of things, though, he's got to clean up, though. But definitely someone to keep an eye on for depth and being a rotational piece at either safety or even linebacker. So yeah, maybe being a certain situational player. And the final safety, the final player in the secondary, the final player we're going to go over in this video and for the draft previews this year, we have hailing out of Baylor, standing 6'2", weighing 190 pounds. We got the Heartbreak Kid, as he was known at college, J.T. Woods. So for JT's strengths, he has a long frame with a broad tackle radius, incredibly ranged safety, can cover a lot of ground in a hurry. His strides are remarkable when he opens up. He's a willing tackler, able to put his pads down and willing to hit people even if he needs help. He could match up against tight ends in the passing game. Excellent ball skills, can hunt down and hawk passes out of the sky. He's a pre-snap communicator, can help his teammates get on the right page. Has good eyes to pick his way through traffic and make it to the ball carrier. He won't get lost in the shuffle very often once he commits to the run. He's a smart player, aware of his surroundings. He reportedly drawed interest as a corner covered from teams, so could offer some versatility to go to corner too. In terms of his weaknesses, though, he's not a fit in man coverage due to his build and his tendency to get tangled with immediate adjustments. He falls off tackles constantly, doesn't have ideal finishing ability for safety. He gets pushed around too much. His linear movement style might spook teams who want a complete athlete who can win in close quarters. He needs to be more decisive when working from zone coverage. So, in terms of his NFL comparison, he's been compared to Julian Blackmon of the Indianapolis Colts. So, a lot of things to like for sure out of him, but he has to get a lot better in coverage for sure, and a lot of things he has to improve on. But still, maybe someone worth taking a risk with and keeping an eye on. Maybe for like rotational and depth for sure. But yeah, anyway, that'll wrap it up here for this NFL draft preview. In fact, that wraps it up for all the NFL draft previews for 2022. So yeah, for these draft previews, I've enjoyed doing these previews throughout this year for all of you. So hopefully you all enjoyed it. Still for defensive backs and safeties, there's definitely a lot of interesting prospects and names to keep an eye on, and I think can make a big difference for the Lions to add to the depth and for the rebuild. So yeah, definitely some names to keep an eye on for sure. But yeah, anyway, that wraps it up for the preview. So now the draft tomorrow. Now, in terms of the draft for the Lions, it's 50-50 on who the Lions take. I want the Lions to go Aiden Hutchinson, but the question is, will he be there at 2? That's going to be the question here. I mean, if Hutchinson gets drafted first overall, it's really 50-50. It's either he does or he doesn't, but I know last I checked, the betting odds had Trayvon Walker out of Georgia going first overall. So there's a chance that Aiden Hutchinson could be there at 2 into Detroit. But yeah, I think it's pretty obvious if Hutchinson falls to Detroit, I think Hutchinson will be the pick. But if Hutchinson goes first overall, then it gets interesting on who the Lions take. Will they go Trayvon Walker? Will they go Kayvon Thibodeau? Even though a lot of reports from Dan Campbell sound like it's not the case. But keep in mind that for for draft rumors, you gotta take it with a grain of salt because it could be smoke and mirrors. It could be a smoke screen to hide who the Lions really want. But you never know. But not sure what Dan Campbell would be hiding, because normally Campbell doesn't like to hide a lot of things when he wears his emotions on his sleeve. But you never know what the teams could be doing behind closed doors. But yeah, there's also been reports that Jaguars could take that offensive tackle out of North Carolina State, Jaquan McMillan, with the first overall pick, since offensive line is a need for the Jaguars since Trevor Lawrence got fucking murdered last year. I mean, there's a lot of draft rumors that could happen for sure. Like, we're not going to know who the first overall pick is. The draft truly begins at first overall. I mean, this is just the thing you have when you have a draft that doesn't have a clear-cut consensus number one overall pick. Complete chaos and pandemonium. But yeah, we won't know for sure what's going to happen with the Lions till tomorrow night after the Jaguars go first overall. See who the Jaguars take, and that could affect who the Lions are. I swear to God, though, if the Lions take Malik Willis at second overall, I'm going to flip shit. But yeah, anyway, that'll wrap it up here. That's all I gotta say. And yes, I am doing draft reactions for the first round tomorrow and for the second round Friday. Third, for day 3, that depends on what the Lions do with the picks, if they're gonna broadcast them or not. But yeah, anyway, that'll wrap it up here. That's all I gotta say, and I'll see you all whatever I make next. Peace.